Hello, everybody. You're listening to Those Other Girls with Mallory and Friends. I'm Mallory.
I'm Victoria.
And we are changing culture and bringing back traditional values. Okay, so today we're really going to do just a recap of the North Carolina Right to Life March/rally, and we're just going to talk about some of the things going on in the pro-life movement. So first, Victoria, can you tell us what you thought about the rally/march? Yeah.
Yeah, so that was like my first rally of really in March of like any kind.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I guess technically I've gotten like a few like Trump rallies, but that's like I feel like it's very different.
Oh,
It
very
was definitely
different.
more like a march and like march through the streets, and I was kind of like, yeah, I can see why people get crazy at these things because you just get so excited in the moment. It's like, yes, we're going to change culture and help babies, and our message is getting out there. So it was really cool. And like for me, I was kind of working the event. I was doing pictures and videos for NC Right to Life. And yeah, it was a lot of fun and got some really good footage that I'm really excited to be sharing once I get the video going and up and going.
Yeah, it was really, first of all, it was really fun. And that was probably, okay, let me see. That was my 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th March for Life type event. I love marches and rallies and things like that purely because of what you said earlier about it being it just everybody, you get really into the moment, everybody's there for a good cause. And my favorite thing that's always been about the March for Life in DC has been you go and it's such like an inspiring excitement. There's always a Christian atmosphere to it. They pray, they play Christian music, and I'm sure if you're not a Christian it might feel a little, you know, actually, I don't know. Like, I feel like if you're not like aggressively, because you can be not a Christian, not be aggressive about it. If you're not like aggressively against like religion, I think you would even feel like the happiness, the warmth, the joy, and it's peaceful, and it's a family event. Like that's another thing I like about those marches. Like, for example, the women's march I went to this year, we were technically protesting it. That I would never in a million years take my child to. Like that was
Really? Why?
the women's, it was just so aggressive. There were curse words everywhere. And you know how I am about stuff like that. There was like pictures of vagina. Oh, I guess because it's a podcast, I don't have to really super censor myself. It was pictures of like vaginas everywhere. And like the people, like, I mean, as a protester, what we faced was more expected. So like, for example, like I had water thrown on me and then like someone spray painted myself in the sign.
That's right. I remember that now. That was when you were up in DC for the confirmation hearings.
Yes. So the women's march, they had an emergency women's march right before during that time in October. So we went there to technically protest it. So like I realized that like that experience is probably different than if I just came to walk, but it still wasn't like, I don't know, I just wouldn't want my children around that. Now, I also don't necessarily think so about the Women's March. I wouldn't go or like have bring my daughters there because I don't necessarily understand what they're marching for.
Well, they're marching for left ideas. Like, I would love to go to the Women's March and be like, yes, like equality, like we're bonding together, like we're not going to compete against each other anymore, like unity among the women. But no, they're marching for pro-choice. They're marching for let's take down the man. They're marching for essentially Democrat ideas. They're not marching for just let's be women together and just like be boss babes and stuff
like if it was more of like a women conference uplifting vibe, that'd be different.
It's not uplifting at all. It's like hate, we're gonna take down the man, we're gonna take down pro-lifers. Like we just hate everyone that doesn't believe in what we believe in.
Exactly. And that's the whole thing. Like part of the reason why Students for Life did go is out of protest because they weren't allowed to be a part of it. Because it's, even though it's a women's, well, it's not a women's organization, but like it is in support of women, they, and the people in charge of it are women, they still did not want those people, because it was pro-life, they did not want them, and it's not even a Christian organization. Like Students for Life is not religious based, and they still didn't want them there. So it's stuff like that. Like I just, and then the reality is we are very blessed to live here in the US. I just, I don't feel oppressed. I don't think that there is much that I can do that a man can't do. The only thing I can think of right now, right off the bat, is the draft, and I have no interest in being added to that.
No, actually, I think women are now drafted.
Well, that's crazy. I think it is. Sign up against that. Like that, I will march against that. Like,
yeah, we're like out of that age group. Like we barely missed the line.
Yeah, I don't know anything about that. I don't want to be part of it.
Yeah, I think, don't quote me on it, I think women can now be in the draft.
That's crazy.
I mean, you do have to think about, why was the Women's March created? It was right after Trump got elected.
Yep.
And
so that's what I'm saying. Like, it's not.
Yeah. Ugh. And when you fuel a movement because of hate, not trying to create forward moving ideas, to create forward moving change, then you're not going to be accepted of anyone.
Yeah.
And I think that's the difference between like the Women's March and then like the March for Life. The March for Life is all about love and trying to get forward moving change.
Yes.
It's not about hating someone or something. Like, yeah, like we don't like Planned Parenthood, but the march wasn't about Planned Parenthood. No. It was, we were marching for little babies.
Yes.
And for their right to live.
Basic right.
Yeah, a basic right. And Will talked about it last week, and about how like even so, I guess rewind a little bit. So the News and Observer did an article calling it an anti-abortion rally. And Will talked about it last week that no, what the NC Right to Life is about is making sure everybody has a right to live. Making sure that it's a natural death. So that would be abortion, that would be suicide, assisted suicide, stuff like that. Yeah. And so, yeah, I mean, the main focus is abortion because that's like the number one killer. But it's really making sure that everyone has the right to a life. Yeah. You have a right to a life. I have a right to a life. Your neighbor down the street has a right to a life. Everyone has a right to a life. And that's where I feel like the left is mistaken, that no, like, I mean, we're anti-abortion, but we just want everyone to just be able to have that opportunity to live.
Yeah. And I think that people have put such a negative spin to things, maybe.
Well, it's a negative spin to people who are anti-abortion, but they make abortion a positive spin. They positively spin abortion. And that's a great thing. It's a great, and they call it women's health care.
Which is like crazy.
No. Yeah. Like, abortion's not meant to be birth control.
Yeah.
At all.
And
I'll, sorry, one more thing. And I'll go back and be like, and knock on wood, we haven't gotten pregnant, but we're not on birth control. My husband and I aren't, because birth control messed up my hormones. And the more I learn about birth control and like how like you can only get pregnant when you're ovulating. I'm tracking my cycle. I know where I am every single day in my cycle. I'm actually in my ovulation cycle, fun fact. Oh. But
nice.
Oh, yes. But we're not teaching our girls that in school. No. To where now they have to rely on birth control. They have to rely on abortion. If they do get pregnant, that's their first thought. But if we just teach our girls to track our cycles, my God, the world would be a different place.
My friend just got fertility something something certified, and she is very big on that. And I definitely want to have her on
Mm-hmm.
at some point. And she talks about how, like, if we just learned when we were young about how special our bodies are,
Yeah.
like we learned to just, like you said, track things. And if we
Yeah.
learned that the proper names for things, if we were told like age appropriately throughout our life, if we were told those things, it would avoid so much. Like people would be saving sex to be, people would understand how important and how beautiful sex
Mm-hmm.
is, and not just with a rando you met at a casino.
Yeah.
That's just,
And I mean, for me, my sex education was like a couple weeks in 6th grade. I'm sorry, as a 6th grader, I'm not even thinking about that.
yeah.
Why aren't we having it later on? Like, why? It just
Or
doesn't
like,
make.
I think it's Monica Klein. I actually was on her podcast. I think it's coming out next week. Everybody should check it out. And she talks about having the conversation throughout life. So
Mm-hmm.
like, but obviously you don't, your 5-year-old, okay, so this penis goes into the vagina. You don't do it for your 5-year-old, but you just talk about like, okay, this is your private part.
Mm-hmm.
Like this is something you don't want people to touch this. And then eventually by the time they get to be like in high school, then you can start having like the real conversations, and you've already built a foundation.
Yeah.
And she said something as simple as, and I thought about this because like so my sexual education came in college with boys that wanted to have sex with me. So that was my sexual education. Not good. Do not recommend. Please don't do that to your child. And girls who wanted me to have sex, not with them, but like with other people. That's just a side note. Okay, so like that was my sexual education. But she talked about something as simple as like your first kiss. Like when I had my first kiss, I didn't run back and tell my parents. Like I was like, oh my gosh, do I tell them?
Oh,
But she
I
was
did.
saying, oh, well, that's good because
Yeah.
like it sounds like your parents probably then.
Well, they
she
didn't
talked
talk.
to, or at
Yeah, like,
least like, oh, sorry, go ahead.
no, I mean, they didn't talk about sex hardly at all. Like, we talked about it. Like, one day we talked about how my body's going to change. It was all like in a 1-day seminar with my mother, and like that was it. And I
Okay.
think, yeah, I mean,
I
I'm
got
just
the American Girl book, and that's how I learned about like a pad and a tampon. And then
really.
that was it. Yeah, that was like my parents never brought it up again.
My
I learned
mom,
everything in college.
my mom, bless her heart, and she does listen sometimes. So, Mom, I love you.
Oh, she
Well, I'm gonna
does.
embarrass you. My mom, when we were talking about she explaining sex to me, it was this 3-part book series of like, and they're all Christian books, and they were all like watercolored painted where you can't see anything, but you knew like the man or the woman were naked, but it was like no detail at all. It was all
what's
water.
the name of the books?
I don't know. It wasn't American Girl. It was some Christian book.
Okay.
But
oh, that sounds interesting.
yeah, but I was just, yeah, I would recommend that. I think if I think if we normalize women's fertility, not fraternity, fertility and sex, like I think that would prevent a lot of people from experimenting and being willing to wait till marriage. Like they know what's going on. I think that would, I don't know. I know we're getting way off topic.
Way off topic. And then I just want to say one last thing, and then we can talk about the barge. So the last thing I want to say is, yeah, I agree. I think if we normalize it, and another thing that she said that I think is important, or like something that I think we should normalize, and I'm gonna feel cringe saying it, but I feel like I should. So normalizing like periods, and like we don't have to have like period shame. Like I think about if I have like a pad, I'm always, so first of all, I don't do tampons, but that's a whole nother conversation. So I always have pads. So like I always like had to hide them, and like I'm going to the bathroom, guys.
Oh yeah, quick. I would like hide them in my pocket.
Yeah, like put it in my bra really quick and like scurry off. And like we just, hey y'all, they might have a pad. Like you don't have to make it such a shameful thing, because it is technically, it's, first of all, it's natural. No matter what vegans tell you, it's natural. I don't know if you know, there's this thing that's saying that like you're not supposed to, your periods aren't natural, and like if you are vegan for a long time, you end up not having your period because your body's not supposed to have a period. That's not true.
No,
that is
your
false.
Body needs to release an egg, all that fun jazz. Like I know like PMS is not natural.
Oh, it's not. Oh,
Like,
yeah, we've had that
yeah, we've had this
conversation.
conversation. Like, you're not supposed to have cramps and feel like crap, but if we like eat what we're supposed to be eating during our cycle, like that should all go away.
But yeah, we should not have all that. I think all ties back. Oh, here, I'll tie it all together. All that ties back to like your sexual health and like not having the proper knowledge, not understanding things and not being taught things age appropriately can cause you to make abortion a form of birth control, to cause you
having an unwanted pregnancy because you don't understand that, okay, I just can't have sex this week.
Yeah. And I think and that's the other thing too. I could be, I'm not sexually active. So like I could be completely wrong with this, but I really think if it's that serious, like you can just not have sex for a couple of days because you can only get pregnant a certain amount of time.
Yeah.
And like, I think you can just not have sex those couple of days. Now I'm not sexually active, so I could, I don't know how it is when you're married.
That's the right statement.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, maybe when you're married, it's like you can't. I don't know. I've never been married. I don't know. But I think you can. I think
we have a rule where we're not like, I let them know, like, babe, I'm ovulating. We're not ready to have a kid. If we are, then yeah, but we're not at all.
Yeah.
But I'm like, yeah, like we just can't this week. Like we can't today.
And I feel like that's okay. Like, and another thing is I think we put not enough emphasis on sex in like the small Christian circles, like the circle I grew up in. There was not enough emphasis on it. So then when you get to places, it's sensory overload. And then in certain places, there's too much emphasis on sex. So then you are around people who like wanted to lose their virginity at like 10. So like it's there. I don't know what the balance is. But we need to find a balance because that is what is that is what turns into this just like culture of, well, it's just a clump of cells, like self-denial. I mean, I have had conversations with people, a lot of times just strangers on the internet, and people are very insistent on it's just a clump of cells. It's not. And I think that is something that you kind of tell yourself when you know the truth. And it's sad, absolutely, and it hurts my heart because I fully believe, I'm just thinking of a person I had a conversation with, and I fully believe she knew it was a human, but it's so painful when you think about, when if you can detach yourself from it. That's why they say the clump of cells, to detach yourself from the humanity of it to make everything easier.
Yeah, I mean, we're all just clump of cells.
I mean, that's a very good
cell.
point.
Was a clump of cell. You who listening was a clump of cell. We're all just clump of cells. So why is one clump of cells different from another?
That's a very good point. And I mean, that's the other thing too. Like, it's all about words. It's all changing definitions. I had someone correct me and said, you're saying it's a baby, but it's a fetus. And, I did the thing that when someone says that, you just go Google what a fetus is, screenshot, and send them it's changing the words doesn't change what it is. Yeah. And you're right. It is a fetus. That's exactly correct. And a fetus is a baby mammal. And the mammal that is producing the baby is a human. Therefore, that is a human. It's just simple as that. But yeah, so back to the march. I really enjoyed it. I'm really glad we marched. It was, like I said, it was my 5th march, and it was kind of smaller than I thought it would be. But I think it was just because of all of the craziness that supposedly was I don't know, all that mess.
Yeah, because they had I didn't see any National Guard down in Raleigh, but they did have like a lot of barriers up.
At the governor's mansion.
And they did have, and it was like right after like January 6th, and it was also kind of a cold, rainy day.
Yeah, it did rain for a little bit. Yeah, but I'm very grateful for the groups that were out there, and I just love those environments because also too, we heard from Mark Robinson, our lieutenant governor, who is fantastic. He got me really fired up and like really just, I guess, especially because it happened at the beginning of the year, it gets you focused and almost like puts forth a good I hate using this word, but like good vibes, good mindset. That's what I'm looking for. A good
Yeah.
mindset for the new year about like fighting. Like this is going to be a fight. We are about to have the most pro-abortion administration that has ever entered the White House. And that means we're going to have a fight, not just on the federal level, because that is going to be a thing. And we're going to talk about that in a second, but also in our local level. I know that in North Carolina, we have, Will talked about it last week. We have some bills coming up that we're going to have to fight. We're going to have to see what we can do, because this is an injustice and we can't sit back idly and wait. So it just makes me, it got me really excited and hyped for like, all right, let's do this. Like, let's go forth. Let's make some changes. What can I do after hearing all of this? What can I do? And then even like the music, they had Christian music playing of some good tunes, good worship stuff. And that got me all excited. Like, yeah. Because also too, I think what really affects me and makes me feel even better about everything going on is like, I know that we're on the right side.
Yeah.
Even if it seems like everyone else is against us, even if something happens and, you know, the Biden administration says abortion anytime, any place, anywhere, it's a free for all. At the end of the day, we know that God wins and we're on the right side. No matter what happens around us, God wins and we're on the right side.
Yep.
So
I agree. Yeah, and so this administration, Biden's administration, is the most anti-pro-life administration. What are some things they're looking at doing?
So there was an article that came out today, and it talked about how Biden is going to be sweeping rollbacks on Trump-era abortion crackdowns. That's the title of the article. And the Planned Parenthood president and CEO, she said, "We have a ton of work to do to undo the harm over the last 4 years." So they're going to overturn a lot of the things, such as banning federal funds for foreign and national health organizations that promote and provide abortion. And then
wait, what does that mean? Because it sounds like they're lifting the ban.
Yeah. So
okay, you said they're banning, and I was like, wait a minute, that sounds good.
Oh, sorry. No. So sorry. So they're going to lift the ban of federal funds to foreign and national health organizations that promote and provide abortion, and they're also going to and giving employers more freedom to deny contraception. So they're going to overdo that. So they're going to make sure that no matter what, even if it's like a religious organization, they are like Catholics are against birth control, they're going to make sure that they have to provide birth control and contraceptives.
I thought that went up to the Supreme Court. I don't understand how they can do that.
I don't understand either. Maybe they can't. This is just what the article was saying.
I thought that one all led to the Supreme Court, but I guess I could be wrong.
I don't know that specific case. This article is saying, and you know what, maybe, and also too, it could be like finding loopholes. What I'm guessing is if I were these people, I would be trying to find loopholes. And it's going to be easier for them to get stuff through now that they have a more abortion-minded administration.
Yeah. Which is crazy because Joe Biden is Catholic. Nancy Pelosi is Catholic. And like, I'm not saying that other, like, Catholics are the Christians that are against abortion. Like, some like other denominations are kind of like, oh, whatever. But Catholics are like, no, this is bad. This is a sin. You can get expelled from the church. And it's just like,
that is what's crazy. And I mean, yeah.
And I just hated that, like, Pelosi, like, someone asked her, like, over the summer, like, do you hate President Trump? And she's like, I'm a Catholic. I'm not supposed to hate. And I'm like, okay, so that's when you want to play the Catholic card? You don't want to play it when it comes to babies' lives?
Right. And that is also, too, it's such a huge disservice when people tout, specifically Catholics, because you're right, like, the pro-life movement in general is like Catholics with a sprinkling of Protestants. Like that's just how it is, just because it's super important. I feel like it's part of the Catholic faith.
Yeah, it really is.
And so I think I just hate when people mischaracterize God. Like I think that when they see people like Joe Biden, Nancy Pelosi saying that they are Catholics slash Christian and they're pro-choice, I think it emboldens people. It gives them like a, well, you know what? It's okay. Like, and I hate that.
Yeah.
Absolutely hate that. I don't think you should be looking to specifically politicians. I don't think you should be looking to any politicians to base your theology off of. But I think that people do that, whether we want them to or not.
Yeah.
And it drives me insane whenever I hear Joe Biden say that he's Catholic. I'm like, no, you're not. Ugh.
You can't pick and choose what you believe in based on your political agenda.
Right.
You can't pick and choose what the Bible says based on your political agenda.
Right. And I think that, you know, he's saying he's pro-choice, but I think like if he could acknowledge that it is killing a human being, at the very least, if he says it's killing a human being, I know it's killing a human being, but I'm no, that's still, I'm just trying to think of like why he can't at least admit that it's a human being. But I mean, you can't just say it's a human being and I'm okay with it, because then now you're a murderer.
Yeah, he'll get crucified from his party.
Yeah, I just don't understand. Like, it just blows my mind. And just a side note on the whole religion thing, in my a course I took in undergrad, we talked about how statistically there's been a huge chunk of people who said they were a religious in general in the US government that actually weren't. Because statistically, you could only get elected if you are attached to any religion. Like, people are more likely to vote for a Muslim, like, it's a mainly Christian nation, let's just be honest. But people are more likely to vote for a Muslim than they are for an atheist. So you have to say, to be elected, you have to say you're attached to some sort of religion. But because of how the United States population is statistically, there are people in office who say that they are a religion and they really aren't, or they really don't care, or they're just like,
that's what I was baptized in, that's what I am.
Right. Just so, and I think that there are specifically people like Pelosi and Joe Biden who are part of that group.
Yeah, and I don't know if you saw this, but yesterday before the inauguration, Joe Biden went to church with, I think it was Pelosi, McConnell, and Schumer. They went to a church service before the inauguration. I was very surprised. I'm kind of like, that just doesn't seem, it doesn't seem authentic. It doesn't seem real.
And I hate to say it, and please people don't come at me. Don't hurt me for this. It gives me the upside down Bible vibes after it's the same energy. Like
so, I feel like, how can you, I feel like it's just like campaigns against like everything not Christian, but then it's like you're going to tout your Christianity for a publicity statement. Like, I wouldn't have a problem if I didn't know about this, to be honest, because I think, like, it's what, I don't remember exactly the verse of the Bible, but it says, like, do your prayers and do like your tithing and all your good deeds like in private. Don't boast about it.
Yeah,
and that's where I feel like he boasted about it. I feel like that's unfortunately what President Trump did with the Bible. It was him boasting about it instead of being like authentic.
And I think also too, at the end of the day, they're going to start doing stuff like that because they're trying to get us to be like, okay, they are Christians, I guess let's give them a chance. I think that's what they're going to start doing, all of this random religious stuff that they've never done before.
Yeah, which I don't understand. It's because I would say like the Muslim population is majority Democrats, I would say, have more of a liberal perspective. Atheist has more of a liberal. Republicans, and I think the Jewish population started to become Republican. And so why and we get criticized as Republicans for following too much on our Christian faith. So, and like, I think Mark Robinson got crucified the other day about saying what he said in our speech at the March for Life, saying how all his decisions are going to be made based on his faith, and people crucified him for it. But nobody's saying anything about this group going to church before the inauguration.
Right. And at the end of the day, I hate when people say we don't need religion in politics. We don't know. At the end of the day, you make your decisions based on your worldview.
Yeah.
Whether you want to admit it or not, whatever your worldview is, that is how you're going to make your decisions. So if your worldview is a Christian, then you're going to make decisions through a Christian lens. If your worldview is apathy, you're going to make decisions through an apathetic lens.
Yeah.
Like, that's just the reality of the situation. So you can't say, like, all he did was just say the quiet part out loud, which I think is fine. I think it's bold and I love it, because the reality is, if someone was Muslim, they would say that they are going to be making their decisions through a Muslim lens.
Well, I think Representative Omar has even said that.
Yeah.
And I look at it as, like, I don't think it's bringing religion into government. No. I think it's using the morals from our religious background to make decisions.
Exactly. And the way I think that to bring religion into government will be that, we walk into something and we say, you right here, you have to pick up a Bible, you have to pray with us. That will be bringing religion into government.
Yes, exactly.
But having some sort of moral background, because everybody has to have some sort of moral background, and your moral background just happens to be based in the Bible, that's not bringing religion into government. And that goes to making a lot of decisions. Like, even with the pro-life, people love to say, well, that's part of your religion, blah, blah, blah. And like, that's part of my morals, and my morality comes from my religion. Mm-hmm. Part of your morals, 9 times out of 10, it's people who aren't, well, no, a lot of times it are people who can identify as Christian or whatnot. But like, your morals are based off of your worldview. And if your worldview is from a biblical base, then that's just how it's going to be. And I don't think there's anything, like, I really don't understand why people get frustrated with that. Like, I don't get it. And I think that's why people vote for people. That's why back to the whole, like, you have to have some sort of religion to be elected. I think because people feel as if you have a religion, then you have some sort of basis of morality. And
exactly.
Not saying that atheists don't understand morality, but I'm just saying, like, you don't have anything or anyone to hold you accountable to your morality.
Mm-hmm. You have guidelines.
Right. You have guidelines. So people are more likely to vote for a Muslim than they are an atheist. And I'm just using Muslim because that's just they're not as big as Christians in this country. That's why I'm using it. But yeah. So last thing really quick, Students for Life. I'm just going to do a quick plug for Students for Life. Students for Life, they're doing a drive-by for the virtual March for Life. So you can go to their website, studentsforlife.org, and you can join like a tailgate, basically. Like, it's just in different states, because they're not going to do the DC March for Life. I don't know if you guys have heard. I'm sure you've heard by now. The DC March for Life has gone virtual, which is so sad to me. Like, and I'm just going to mini rant on that. I hate that they had to make it virtual, and I'm assuming it was a valid reason, in the sense that, like, everybody received that email and it said something about talking to the FBI. And I was watching the news earlier, and they were saying that they are going to have the National Guard there 30 days after the inauguration. So I'm assuming that it has something to do with something real incredible, but it still saddens me that we can't do it, because to me, it's always been a big thing every year, and I've really enjoyed it. But you can still participate with Students for Life. They're doing things in different cities. If you just go to their website, and it's called, their little campaign is called #StandForLife, which I think is cute, and I think it's something great. I'm going to be in DC next Wednesday through Sunday, I believe.
What for?
For the Students for Life, they're doing there's going to be a summit, and they're doing the drive-by. It's not called a drive-by. I want to stop calling it a drive-by. Tailgate.
Drive-through?
drive through, maybe. I don't know. Caravan. That's what I'm trying to say. I don't know why I'm calling it a drive-by, but they're doing a caravan, and I'm gonna be part of that as well. So like, yeah. If you are looking for something to do, if you're looking for time to stand up, we have to start standing up. This is going to be a tough fight for the pro-life movement. And another thing, last thing on this, y'all know this is my favorite topic, so I can go on and on. But last thing on this, it's going to be a tough fight because I think that it's probably not going to get as much attention as it has before, for various reasons. And, you know, I can get into that another episode. But because of that, that means we need to be saying things on social media. That means not just on social media, though. We need to be saying things to our friends and our neighbors. You should start clubs. Start a pro-life future club. Once again, go to studentsforlife.org. They have all that information. They can help you with that. But yeah, we have to do something. Last thing. Speaking of women empowerment and coming together and standing up for stuff, don't forget to sign up for our summit. We already have a lot of people signed up, which I'm super happy about. And we're going to be, this week we released one of our speakers, Taylor Hops. Yikes. I love you.
We'll figure that out before the summit.
Yeah. I love you, Taylor. I don't know why I'm mispronouncing your name right now, but she's one of the co-hosts for the Delighted podcast. So she's going to be one of our guests, and we're going to be releasing more every couple of days. So I'm super excited for that, you guys. Please sign up. I think this will be really good. It'll be a chance for us to come together and talk about solutions, encourage each other. You're going to hear some great speakers. There's going to be some great giveaways and such. So yeah. Make sure you sign up. Victoria, anything you want to add?
T-shirts?
Yes, T-shirts. We are, at this point, we will be 4 days away from the ending of our campaign. So make sure you get T-shirts. We are a little shy of our goal. So please order. You can order it on our website. When you log on, it's going to be donate to True Justice International. The link will also be in the description. So yeah.
Yep, and don't forget, we are doing 40 days for Joe Biden's first 40 days in office. We had our first day yesterday, and you can catch that on Instagram and Facebook, and share it with your friends to just pray for our country.
Yes. Yes, and Wednesday nights. Okay, I think we have a lot of announcements.
Yeah, sorry guys.
I was gonna say it's okay, but you're not apologizing to me, you're apologizing to them. And Wednesday nights, don't forget, we have our prayer.
Our Bible study.
Yep. We're going to officially start the Bible study the first Wednesday in February. So you just get the book. The link will be in the description, and it's in the Facebook group. Make sure you join our Facebook group. We have really good conversations in there. And if you have articles or anything that, even if you've written an article or something, you want to share it with us, it doesn't even have to be politics related. It could be like pop culture or whatever. Christian, or if you, anything.
Yeah, or if you want to write an article, let us know. We're happy to have you on our blog.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, so sorry for all the announcements, but as you can tell, there's a lot going on for those other girls, and we're really excited to be growing this community this year and giving you a voice.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
All right.
Thanks, guys. Glad y'all made it to the end. Bless you.
Yes. Thank you for listening, everybody. Have a good rest of your day.
Yep, and we'll talk to you guys on Saturday.